I have a court.
Sorry.
Pardon me. I was just helpfully told by my computer that I'm being recorded, which I knew. I appreciate the courtesy on the computer's part. And my wife, Gail, Dr. Bondi, Abigail Fletcher is with me here. And we've been really beset and busy the last few years, what with cancer, and then recovering from that, and then taking care of Gail's parents, and then COVID slammed down. And now that we have time to breathe and room to breathe, knock on wood, we looked at each other when the unfortunate news came that our current Baron and Baroness were leaving us for Drachenwald, and said, we know some things, we know how to do some things. It's time to give back to the community, which anchored us and let us get started and has helped us in so many ways. So that's our hat, or our floppy Eeyore thrown in the ring. Gail?
What can I say? We are onesie. Sorry, had to say something stupid. I usually spend my time in the background supporting the people who are running things. And to be honest, that's sort of what I'm doing now, is that my husband, Don Giovanni, has served at a variety of levels, and I've always been in the background, and he wants to serve the Shire, but there's no place in the background at the moment for where he wants to be. So I'm hanging out here.
No hiding.
No hiding.
Okay, thank you. And that would be Honorable Lady Arabella and Lord Satomi. I apologize if I get that wrong. Please.
Hey all, most of you already know me. I am Honorable Lady Arabella Kelly, and this is Lord Satomi Moriyasu. You know him as Alric Erlingson, and he's decided to go back into the Japanese end of things, and hence the name change. So we have both been active SCA-wise for about 20, him a little longer. Yeah, about 20 plus years. We've been in Castlemere from about 2013. We were here when I was in college as well. So we left about 2004, spent some time up in Meridies, and then came back home. And we've been doing service to the barony since we moved back. And when I heard that we needed a Baron and Baroness because TS and Liz were moving off to Drachenwald, I told Moriyasu that this is a thing we can do. I've been seneschal for 3 years. I've looked at other things that I can do to serve the barony, and this is a thing that we can do to serve the barony, and this is a thing we can do. We're always doing something for the barony, so whether it's on a grand level or whether it's a lot of little things in the background, we're just looking for a way that we can serve our barony and make the community come together even more so than it already has. And things got greatly interrupted by COVID, which has put a bit of a little damper on things in some ways, but we're recovering from that as a barony, and things are starting to shape up and develop quite a bit more, and we'd love to be involved in making those things come even more into focus.
Yeah, and I will excuse me. I will repeat pretty much what Eeyore said. that I've spent, some of you may know me from the archery range and et cetera, but I spend most of my work supporting her and what she does for the barony and doing a lot of work in the background to make sure everything comes off as she wants it to. And so yeah, that's pretty much where we are.
Excellent. Thank you both. That brings up the Honorable Lady Isabeau Sidonia McGregor and Lady Harlow.
Ooh, that's going to be interesting because we're on separate cameras.
You want to go first and then I'll go after you?
No, ladies first, sweetheart.
Okay. My name is Lady Harlow Wren. I have actually been in the SCA since I was 14 years old. I started in a completely different barony. I'm originally from Arkansas. I have been in the SCA here for about 4.5 years since I've lived here. One of the first things I did after I moved here to Castlemere was I looked for a barony to join. I wanted to know where my home barony was and get involved in the SCA here as soon as I got here, which I did. I have been involved with the SCA in different various ways and parts since I was a teenager. And since I've been here, I have mostly served under the Baron and Baroness that we have had before TS and his wife. And when I heard that they were stepping down, I didn't really have time in my life before them to serve properly. But my schedule has completely changed since then. And when I heard that they were stepping down, it gave me an opportunity to kind of do something for my barony that I greatly have wanted to do for a while. And I saw it as an opportunity to kind of put my application in and try to do that for my barony. There are several things, as Kelly was mentioning, that I think we've wanted to do for a while to try and, really help and to try and make us grow, which I think we greatly need. And we had a lot of great ideas a couple of years ago that were going to be put into action. And I was actually going to help with some of that. And they got completely and totally stunted by COVID, which was really hard. And now we kind of have an opportunity again to make some of those things happen and to try and put some of those back into action, which I'd really, really like to see. There's a lot of opportunity right now, I think, for growth. And there's a lot of opportunity to kind of help our own community that we already have. And I think a great opportunity for support within our barony, which I think has been needed for a minute. So I'd like to do that. I'd like to kind of rebuild us. You want to take it?
Sure. Okay, so my name is the Honorable Lady Isabeau Sidonia McGregor. And if I am ever called that, I will run, because it's like when your mom calls your full name, you're in trouble. Everybody knows me by Dar. So far as being in the SCA, I've been in the SCA unofficially since I was 14. And when I officially stepped on, that puts me at somewhere around 40 years in the SCA. And of course, I'm not giving you everything because that's just not going to happen. I have served under many kings, many queens. I've pretty much tested every office with the exception of anything to do with money. I cannot do exchequer. Oh my God, no. But everything else, I have pretty much stepped in as an assistant. The going pattern here is we all serve. That is what we are built to do. It is what drives me. I have the absolute honor and privilege of being perhaps one of the longest running chatelaines. Thank you, COVID. To, of course, their excellencies, Gunther and Zena. With that, it gave me a very unique perspective to see what really goes on behind the scenes politically, what goes on behind the scenes with the drama of court, Sitting on one side, that's great. Sitting behind the thrones, that's a whole different ballgame. As Harlow mentioned, this is a fabulous time for opportunities. And that's why I chose Harlow as my mate and said, hey, Harlow, we can do this. She is going to be the one who is going to step up and take this barony forward. While I like to look at the people who we have in the barony that perhaps due to an illness or due to maybe just the fact that they don't like coming to meetings, they have crazy talents. These are people who still contribute to the dream, but they don't maybe feel like they're appreciated. I want to look at the people who are our older members, the people who we don't see that often, and maybe start reaching out and get them to come back to us. COVID shocked the crap out of all of us, and it's still affecting us. I want to be your Baroness because I think between Harlow and I, we cannot forget the people who built this barony, who gave to this barony, and look forward to our future who can sustain our barony. So that's why I want to be Baroness with Harlow, so that we can change and we can create and we remember our past. Take it away, Rutro.
Thank you. And to you, Lady Annabelle and Samuel, I apologize, I don't have your last name.
Bartellett. Say it
I'm
first.
sure it was there somewhere. I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss it.
No,
No.
Bartellot, Bartelot.
Thank you. Please.
So I'm Lady Annabelle, and this is my husband, Samuel. I have been in the SCA for about 7 years. I started in Mid-Realm, was very involved in Mid-Realm, got my AOA in Mid-Realm within 6 months of starting. Kind of jumped in with both feet. That's kind of what I do. You know, I had done a feast credit, I had auto credit, I had done a demo, ran a demo all in the first 6 months of being in the SCA. So really jumped in with both feet. I moved down here about 6 years ago to Trimaris and to Castlemere, and just found home. And really SCA, wherever you are, is home. But Castlemere especially just felt like home. And I brought Sam in to the SCA about 5 years ago. He has a master's degree in medieval history. So this was kind of like a duck to water for him. So he just is very passionate about history, and being able to share history with the SCA and be able to tell people what the real histories were and the stories of the people that were in history. So that's kind of his thing. The reason that we wanted to become Baron and Baroness is that we really saw a way to get involved and serve. Serving for me is fulfills me, just gives me joy and fulfillment, no matter where that is. If I'm in the kitchen or at retaining or doing whatever is needed, I am not afraid to jump in and help. And I felt like us becoming being able to become that would be a way to serve the barony. And in addition, we also have dreams and hopes and plans that we would like to enact within the barony. And I'm actually going to let kind of Sam talk about that.
Well, before I go on to that, I want to say thank you for being here this evening. And also, Renee is also the barony chronicler, as well as acting beast strat for some of you who are coming to Gulf Wars. And also for me, I really enjoy the people in the SCA. This weekend we were at Hogstown, and it was great because I got to share that community and be with all of our fellow Scadians, as well as introduce our love of history to the public. And so doing those demos, I think is really key to help increasing the size of the barony. And that's really our whole platform, is talking about recruiting, engagement, and retention. to grow the barony, to, build upon the strong foundations that Gunther and Lena laid with the barony, working on what Teramasu and Aki brought, and then working from there to expand the barony to be more inclusive and to have more people in it. And beyond just events, also have things going on in Jacksonville week to week when there aren't events. So we can go to trivia nights, game nights, do things together as a community, because that's the way you build community. For folks who can't come to events for whatever reason, they need to be included, and it has to be more than just a monthly meeting. And so we have some various ideas on how to accomplish that. And again, grow the barony, have our members be more active in the barony, and make it better for everyone. Really is what our dream is. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. We've got a couple of questions by me because nobody else is doing this. Hello, hint, hint, rest of populace into the chat. If you want to know something, put in a question, or this is going to be a really short meeting. I like that personally. I'm all about that. But I figure some of you have questions. First question is a general question, and it's to all the people, all the candidates itself. Will you support the fighter practice and or attend on the Sunday? And I understand that you can't be there every Sunday, but as a general rule, to show them that we support them as a barony.
We'll take it.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Master Giovanni.
Master Giovanni, we'll go by precedence. It's easier.
We'll go back. Yeah.
There you go.
Thank you all. Since part of the reason I have precedence is I am one of the principles of the Order of Defense in this kingdom, yeah, I think you might find me supporting the fighter practice. I actually have some ideas I'm exploring for ways to not just have the Sunday practice be richer, but to expand opportunities for people to have practice in various locations at other times during the month. That's all very early in discussion, but I have notions and I'm exploring ways to expand that. I want to support our fighting community in toto. I want to sit with Al Davis and pick his brain for what he feels would be helpful on the ground now. I want to throw my weight behind the things I know well. I want to keep from terrifying my orthopedic surgeon who told me I can't fight heavy anymore because of my total hip. So I'm not going to terrify my orthopedist, but Mike could find a way to keep my hand in there too.
I'd like to add that most of my early service I was dubbed Lady Blue Water because in the beginning of the early light fighting,
back when I had hair,
we were here in Trimaris 30 plus years ago, and they were just the lights were starting to play prizes. It was a new concept. My whole job was to stand there with Gatorade and say, keep drinking. So I became known as Lady Blue Water because blue was the favorite, whatever flavor that is. I should also say that I have been a card carrying fighter myself. I did and have fought lights at war. So
Penzic and Gulf.
Both Penzic and Gulf. I enjoy it. I encourage it. I think it's flashy, and it's one of the things that attracts people to the SCA. I do more of the arts than the fighting, but I do agree with the people who said demos are absolutely essential to the SCA, or being in the park, if that counts as a demo, being in the park where people can see us.
Being seen gets
And
it
what
done.
they see is armor and swords and things like that.
Absolutely. Thank you both very much. That would bring up a Honorable Lady Arabella and Lord Satomi.
Satomi Moriyasu and I have been very active in our fighter community. So up until life intruded, I was going to practices every Sunday. And that will be something that I get back into as soon as life permits. So we would definitely and absolutely support practices at any location. Toramasa and I and Tyler down in Cedar Holt work together to get together the practices that we have now at Clark House Park. So those were something that we all worked together on to get going and to keep going. So we tried to find a place where we didn't have to pull permits every time that we wanted to have practice, so that it doesn't cost the barony out of any funds, so that we don't have to fundraise, so that we don't have to ask for donations. And Tyler and Toramasa were instrumental in making that happen, and making and of course, you know, talking to Cedar Holt and making sure that we're not stepping on their toes down there by holding our practices in their territory. So we are more than happy to support those practices in total for the heavy fighters and the heavy rapier fighters and any cut and thrust fighters that might be in our area. Personally, while I don't do cut and thrust, there is beauty in it. So I myself am a fencer. I do enjoy my fencing on the field, and I do enjoy my opponents and getting to fight them on a weekly basis. So and it allowed us to build the community of that fighters. And when the traveling practice comes through, being included in that again will help to not just draw attention to us in the parks, but also to draw other fighters from around the kingdom to show what Castlemere is doing and what we are capable of within our community. Do you have anything?
Yeah, I've kind of missed going to fighter practices. Switching to archery has kind of you know, put a damper on my fencing practices as it does. But I do miss being out there every Sunday and spending time. I spent many a Sunday at the fighter practice long before I even met this one. And so yeah, it would be definitely good to get back out there and spend time with the people at the fighter practice for sure.
Thank you. Honorable Lady Gar and Lady Harlow Wren, please.
Okay, go Harlow.
I'm sorry, I was answering a question in chat for someone. What was the question you were asking?
Would
Supporting
you be
fighter.
supportive of the fighter practices and being able to attend the practice?
Yes, I'd actually already answered that in chat. Yes, of course, absolutely. I have attended fighter practices in the past and supported them with absolutely no problem. And I have absolutely no problem in future in supporting them as well. Of course, you know, you can't make every single fighter practice, but you try to make as many as possible. Our fighters are important to our group, and they're important to the SCA. So supporting them is an absolutely important thing to do.
Gar.
Oh, okay. Yay, I'm up. Fighter practices are absolutely essential for what we do. So yes, totally support that. I would like to also get like a mini traveling fighter practice going in and around our areas. Of course, that was one of the devious reasons why I asked Harlow to be my running mate, because she's in St. Augustine and we can send out our feelers and maybe get different fighter practices along with the big traveling fighter practice. Because again, as Kelly said, that it is really just a necessity to show off what Castlemere can do. Our fighters are fabulous. I come from a massive fighting community. My first barony was the barony of Wyvernwood. My first household was that of the Arachnids. So yeah, that was a complete nothing but fighting household. Another thing is I like to put the perspective out that the smash and bang of heavy fighters draws attention, draws people in. Yet it's the beauty and the finesse of the fencers that make people stop and go, wow, I'd love to be able to, of course, hold the fighter practices
Mm.
and to educate people. Because once we educate people, that gets people curious. And then, of course, everybody wants to be a big smashy fighter. But then you have the more delicate people. They're like, no, I like fencing. So yeah, fighter practices, it's one of our life's bloods.
Yeah, there's actually an amazing, amazing untapped and great potential space in St. Augustine that's, by the way, free. Mm.
Like that.
And nice public space, large, with bathrooms and a pavilion. And I've wanted to use it for years now for a fighter practice because they have a huge field there. And it could even be potentially used for recruitment, really, because tons and tons and tons of people go to this space. I do not understand why we don't use it for fighter practice. I've wanted to use it for years. So yeah, there's a lot of untapped potential.
Okay, excellent. Thank you both.
Mhm.
Lady Annabella and Samuel.
Okay. So yeah, absolutely, we support fighter practice. We know how essential and important fighter practice is. One of the ideas we had actually was putting a hospitality tent at the fighter practices, so those who are interested in the SCA can learn more about it. You know, in addition to all our various fighting styles, as well as the other things such as art side and the point of fighter practice being demos and as a recruitment tool is very essential. And obviously, when you increase those, we even had a fire practice here at our house once. And we'll do that again. We have a very big front yard. But beyond that, we also do demos in other spaces. We do demos at anywhere the public is. So we can do a demo, an outside demo, like we do the Hogstown right now. People are interested in fighting, absolutely, but they're also interested in weaving. They're also interested in cooking. So we need to bring out those demos as well. For those who maybe say, well, fighting is really cool, but you know, due to whatever reason, I'm not interested in being a fighter myself. What else can the SA offer me? So demos at other places, fairs, Ram downtown, things like that. Let's have fighter practices and also have art side, have spinning, weaving, fiber arts, cooking, sand casting. I just learned about sand casting myself this last week, and I'm going to start doing it myself. My own personal rabbit hole from attending the demos at Hogstown. And so we need to expand our demos, beyond fighter practice. Fighter practice is very important, yes, because we're empty nesters and our schedule is fairly light. We'll be at every fighter practice in a hospitality tent, but we also need to expand our demos beyond fighting as well, so that we can include everybody who might be interested in the SCA for other reasons as well. Do anything?
Yeah, fighters are what draws people in. There's no doubt about that. The fighter community is essential. It's the lifeblood of the SCA. It's what we are founded on. And of course, they deserve and need and absolutely have our unconditional support. And we would support heavy, rapier, archery, all of those martial arts that are involved in the SCA.
And you were married to yourself.
I tried. Fibro does that, but but it's beautiful. Rapier is beautiful. And absolutely is essential to our to growing our barony and to drawing people in. And hopefully we can use that as the hook to be able to get people interested in service and arts and all of the other things that make the SCA. But again, yes, fighter practices are an opportunity to support our fighters, but also support community and grow community together.
Excellent, thank you. Master Giovanni, and this is for everyone to answer, but I'm starting here. I'm combining two questions into one.
Okay.
If you have one specific idea to help build membership, and is there an untapped potential recruitment avenue that you're excited about pursuing?
Oh, my stars and garters. The problem is that I've got too many.
Well, pick the one
Okay.
you're most happy about.
Yes. The one that occurs immediately to me is in the university communities. We have a couple of universities here in town. Gail has been an adjunct professor at some of them. I have points of contact in the other. The hardest part about a modern university is actually getting on with the administration not losing their mind. Between Gail's contacts and mine, that's a point of leverage, I think, that could be exploited. And getting people excited about getting away from the console, away from the Skyrim, and trying some of this in real time, where their heart's pumping and their muscles are moving and they're smiling and people are laughing because it just, wow, I did that. That feels so good. That's, I think, a real place where we can and should explore how to get there and make the offer. And we're going to have to do it a lot because, you know, no demo brings a ton of people in the first time, but patience, persistence in the service of outreach.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
I just want to point out, to support my husband, that's what I do, is that I don't know if people have been in Castlemere long enough to remember when we actually used to have our meetings at Jacksonville University, where we actually got quite a bit of young blood at one point. It's been a long time, but we spent a lot of time at JU many years ago, back when we were also doing the Ren fairs here.
We also had 30 people coming to a meeting.
That's not a horrible thing, is it?
No, it's not. Okay. Lady Arabella and Lord Satomi, please.
So my, one of my suggestions is very echoing of Master Giovanni. And at one point before COVID, we were trying to get in with the university system and the college systems here in Jacksonville. Julie was working on that. She had the time and everything to work on that. And we were making some headway. And to tap that university system, that is a wonderful, wonderful resource, because kids come out and they go, "Ooh, I want to do that. I want to do that. I want to do that. I want to do that." We have the gold key to support those people. We can teach them the skills to be successful. We have loaner garb, loaner gear. We have everything we need to get them started and bring them back. So, and they can keep going. I was a college kid recruit. I was started when I was 18. I saw it out at school one night after I was done with band practice. So it was one of those things of, hey, how do I do this? So I'm one of those college kids that has stuck with it since I was 18. Another community that we could very well tap into is the LARP community. They look at us and they want to learn. So, and maybe we can get them out of those polyester clothes and into something a little more period appropriate. So they do want to play, they want to have fun, and it would not hurt to bring some of that excitement into our community, because they do want to do all the things and they want to be going at it 24/7. I don't know about you guys, but I can't go at it 24/7 like I used to. But I would love to have their energy. I would love to see what they can do. So you know, my two suggestions would be the LARP community and the college and university community. And there is quite a bit of overlap there. So and you know, hey, if we can get one and he can go, hey, here's my professor, he's willing to sponsor a club, awesome. So yeah, that's my idea.
Yeah, I have to agree. I've been saying for a while now that one of the things that we have to focus on is youth recruitment. I don't think I'm saying anything that everybody doesn't realize, but the community is getting older, and we can't sustain this way. We've got to start focusing on youth recruitment, and I think that's one of the main focuses I want to focus on if we get this is to do that.
Okay, excellent. Honorable Lady Dar and Lady Harlow.
Okay, Harlow.
Yeah, Yes, I agree with Kelly. That's really what I'd like to focus on. And I would, as you were talking about, that was one of the biggest projects that was actually making amazing headway, was the college project. I'd really like to go to work back on that and see if we can't achieve that, because we were doing really well. It was coming along, and it was actually going to be a thing that was going to happen before COVID, and then COVID happened, and yeah, well, that kind of started to fall apart. So I would actually really like to try and go back to having that become a thing that we achieve, because that would have been amazing for us. I think that would have been a great recruitment tool for us to have in our barony. And then the fighter practices, I think that's a great recruitment tool as well. I'd like to have a small table or booth set up at those, because we have walker-bys all the time at those. And I think it's unfortunate that we don't have information there, and we don't have some ways to be set up to actually talk about not just them looking and asking a question or two, but actually have something to offer them. So it would be nice if we had something a little bit to offer people that are coming to look, make them feel a little bit more comfortable and invited. If they see something that looks like, a pamphlet table, they might actually stop and get information, to where they feel a little bit more invited. Because I think right now when they pass by, they feel like they're encroaching. And I don't want passerbys to feel that way when they see our fighter practices. And it would be, interestingly enough, when you were talking about the LARP, the place that I'd really like us to try to start using for fighter practice in St. Augustine, there are already several LARP groups that come there and use it for their fighter practices. And I think it would be really nice if they saw us and we were like, hey, you guys, you want to play? Make some new friends.
So wrong.
You know what I'm saying? The door is always open. Come on in. Trade your foam in for metal. Go ahead, Dar.
I think that right now, the way things are, the point has been brought up, and it's absolutely correct. We are getting older.
Yeah.
But we do need the younger people to step up so that we can teach them, train them, and bring them into our wonderful dream.
Mm-hmm.
The LARP, I absolutely agree with the LARP. I've been to several cons, and let me tell you what, they're wild, they're energetic. Like Kelly said, I can't go 24/7 anymore. No, I can't even do 12 whatevers anymore.
Yeah.
But I had a very interesting experience that I would try to it would not be one of our main recruiters, but my mother belongs to a senior center. There's some seniors that are still very active. They love to sew. They don't have anybody to sew for. They love to cook. They have some amazing recipes. We have musicians. They love sharing things with the younger generation. They may not bring in the youth, but they have gifts and talents like our art size that are long forgotten. So that would just be something that we could serve our community, not just ourselves, but we might be able to look into that just to get someone maybe to make something very simple, someone to write a song down that maybe one of our bards could take and do something with.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. The younger group, we need to get the LARPers involved. Like you said, trade your plastic for metal. It feels so much better to craft that plastic. It does. But yeah, I mean, that's where we would work. The LARPs, the college that we had to take that plan, continue it forward. Get in with the group that was planning it, support Jeanette, because Jeanette was doing an awesome job.
Yes,
She was the driving force for that. We were all in her wake and following Jeanette. So yeah, I would say the younger groups, the LARPers, the colleges, the universities, the guys that throw the frisbees over here in Springfield.
Right.
Not to say they're not gorgeous. I'd never look at that. Never. They're potential candidates. Okay. Take your mind out of the gutter, Harlow. So that's where I would be.
Okay, excellent. Thank you both very much. Lady Annabelle and Samuel, please.
Well, we're of a similar mindset. I'm actually a double alumnus from UNF. Both my history degrees are from UNF. And so I still have some contacts there. I'm also an adjunct for Columbia College, who has a couple of campuses here in town as well. So we were of a similar mindset of looking at the colleges as a major recruitment place. But also in addition to that, bringing in other places in public, again, talking about going to RAM, going to Jacksonville Fair, Clay County Fair. Any place where there's a public gathering, there should be an SEA booth with demos going on, so we can recruit from everywhere.
The Pride Parade and the Pride Festival is also an excellent inclusive space for us to be able to recruit people, as well as using Meetup. People right now are desperate to have community. And I know at one point I used Meetup to meet other people and other groups. And that's a great untapped potential. Just saying where our meetings are and where fighter practice is so people can find us if they aren't aware of where it is. That's good. Doing what we used to call in the mid realm guerrilla demos, where we would all get dressed up and go out to dinner or go bowling in garb, or all of those things, so that people get to see us and they can ask questions like, hey, what are you guys doing? And things like that to create conversation. So those things are ways that we feel that are good recruitment. And then after recruitment, get them engaged, and I've taught several times a class called SEA on a Budget. And the thing with the young people and college age kids is they don't have any money. And a lot of us know how expensive the SEA can be to start out. So being able to teach them, hey, garb made from sheets is perfectly acceptable. And, going to thrift stores to get feast gear is perfectly acceptable. And, being able to show them how to do this without having to break the bank or feel bad even, because so many of us have been in for so long that it can be a little intimidating to start because we don't have everything that they have, that the old timers, for lack of a better word, have and have been in. So lowering the bar for admission and making it accessible to new people, teaching them how to make garb, how to, do things that we take for granted in the SEA, and looking through their eyes. And I think that's a good way to for recruitment.
I agree. And one comment real quick, I see this comment says Pride Parade is very expensive. It actually isn't for nonprofits. I've actually run 2 separate political campaigns, and for nonprofits, Pride Parade and Pride Fest are very reasonable. And that's something that we would willing to incur out of our own pockets to help spread the message of the dream.
Okay, excellent, excellent. Thank you both. Thank you, everybody. One of the questions, it seems that everybody seems to be stating that, that fighting is the lifeblood of the SCA and they're 100% behind it. When approximately was the last fighting, specifically, not event, but fighting, whether it be demo, whether it be fighter practice, that you've each attended? Master Giovanni.
Well, in terms of just a plain old practice under SCA auspices, it was about 2 years ago. At that point, not much more I could do because I had to wait for a total hip replacement. However,
Excuses. Ah,
no, recognizing what I can and cannot do.
absolutely, absolutely.
And my inbox was full, and still is, come to think of it, of fighters from the kingdom asking, how do I do this? How do I do that? I heard this text was interesting. Does that actually have anything to do with SCA fighting? And answering those questions and pointing them to resources, and sometimes mobilizing my fellow masters of defense and saying, hey, this person's really interested. They're in your neck of the woods. What can we do to get that person going? Fighter practice is important. It sure is. But sometimes when you're benched, you got to find other ways to support the fighting community as a whole.
Coaching.
Coaching, yeah, all of that.
Absolutely. Thank you, Master. Lady Arabella, Lord Satomi.
The last time I was out at a fighter practice, before life got in the way, was late summer, late August, early September. For me, some just general life has gotten in the way, trying to work, trying to do other things, but so my armor needs some repair. So my last time out at fighter practice actively was late summer. So unfortunately I haven't made it out to one just for various life reasons, but like I said, getting back to it is a thing that needs to happen for me. So
yeah, I believe the last time I was at a fighter practice was probably, let's see, I want to say I went to one of the first ones that we had after COVID restrictions were over, because I went to that one. But being archery, I haven't had much call to go to the regular fighter practice, but obviously if I were to be holding a position of any sort, I would be out there for base reasons as well as just to socialize, not just not obviously because I won't be fencing as I used to. I might get back into it. I keep threatening to pick up a sword one of these days.
threatening.
But
It's not like I don't have a whole wall of swords downstairs.
there's that.
Thank you both. Honorable Lady Dar and Lady Harlow.
Hello.
Mine was summer as well. I haven't been able to make as many as I would normally do. Job and life.
Let's see. The last one I went to was in Gainesville. Duke Verone has stepped down from Gold Star. They have now divided Gold Star into the different quadrants of the United States. So it was a massive Gold Star East gathering. I am still considered House Arachnid, one of the original members of that household. So I was kind of summoned on my way to see my daughter. So Spider took over Gold Star East, and it was a massive fighter practice. A lot of Castlemere. Tyler was there, Mark was there, and it was seriously impressive. They had a lot of household business to discuss. So then the holidays kind of took over and everybody was busy, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and we still have that odd hesitancy to be in crowds of people. It's really weird. You're kind of like looking over your shoulder going, oh, this is a big crowd. Oh, what the heck, let's go. So I'm going to say late summer, then the holidays hit. So that's pretty much with me.
Yeah.
Understood. Thank you both. Lady Annabelle.
So we are not fighters. I'm be honest with you. We're not fighters. We're heavily involved in the arts. That doesn't mean that we can't support our fighters. The last practice, official SCA practice we have gone to was when it was at the Duck Park. So before COVID.
At least 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, just a little bit. Because quite honestly, we haven't had a reason to go because we are not fighters. That doesn't mean that if we are chosen, that we would not go, because we would, because that is part of the job. We did host a fighter practice here at our home last October. And that was great fun. Wouldn't mind doing that again also. All of our neighbors just thought it was grand. But again, we're heavily involved in the arts, but that doesn't mean that we cannot support our fighters. So.
Right, and when we were at Hogstown, we supported our fighters there. We went and picked up arrows
Yeah.
as they're getting shot at. And so at the fighter practices, we're the ones running the hospitality tent if we were so lucky to be chosen. And so we can again point out, discuss what the fighters are doing, and try and encourage more people to come and join the SCA.
Thank you both. I'm going to make it a last question for this evening. What ideas do you have to basically, how should somebody put it in here in quotes, makes it really easy, to re-energize members who may have drifted away to get, because there's a huge amount of people that were in the SCA that have just been meh, whether it be from COVID, just burnt out, or just it's no longer their ball of wax. How can we get them back active in part of our community? Master Giovanni.
I think that doesn't have a single answer, except individual outreach and listening, reaching out to those people, identifying them, putting our corporate heads together and saying, whom haven't we seen for a while? Are they okay? And then as Baron and Baroness personally reaching out to them saying, hey, we just like to know that we're thinking of you, people are thinking of you. Might you want to come back and just visit? You don't have to dive back in and do the thing that maybe you're tired of right now. Just come back and visit. We'd love to see you again. And then, having made the entree, listen. Pay attention to what they're telling us back. And, you know, some things we may be able to respond to and help them work with. Some things maybe we can't. If there's a personality difference that we can't bridge, we can't. But rather than assume one size fits all for departure, fatigue, burnout, all the other things, personal outreach, and then listen and then see where maybe we can foster and encourage.
I know for a fact that some people left because they felt like they were not listened to. We've been talking to several of them, and I think making them feel listened to is, you know, very important. I suggested that we try, and nobody listened to me. We heard that a lot from 4 or 5 of our friends who either gone to different groups or to different levels, that they felt like they weren't heard when they brought up suggestions here. And I think we need to be able to talk to people, and somehow communication needs to be better. If somebody says, oh, I think we should develop a band of guillotine fighters. Well, that's not very realistic, but you know, how do you say that's not so great an idea or not possible now, but how do we organize it? I think is important.
You know, some ideas are great, but no in the SCA. There are ways to engage people, listen to them, be respectful, and say, there's some really interesting stuff there. This piece doesn't work with the rule set, or this piece doesn't work with the culture, but how can we work and pull the nugget of fun stuff out of that and bring it to the party? You can't promise things you don't deliver, but you can listen respectfully and let that person know that even if the answers I don't see how, that they were at least listened to.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you both. Lady Arabella and Lord Moriaso.
Well, one of my ideas, other than listening to people would be to give them the option, invite them personally to do something back within this group that they once loved so much. So if you know somebody had a love of calligraphy and illumination, to invite them to come to perhaps the chat and craft that's out at fighter practice on the occasional Sunday, if we can get that restarted, or crafts and drafts that I would like to sponsor and get restarted on the Wednesdays that we don't have meetings. A couple of folks get together at Hyperion, and you just share whatever artwork you're doing, you work on it while you're having a drink, and it's great conversation. So I found that if you invite people personally, if they tell you no once, maybe you invite them again, and maybe they show up the next time. So things do engage with them on a personal level of, I know you enjoy this activity, let me invite you to it. Check on somebody when they're not feeling well. Like, we're all very aware of Albie and his wife right now. And the last time I was out at Albie's, because my son does trombone lessons with him on Tuesdays, I asked Patty, I said, what can I do to get you more involved? And she told me, my health does not allow me to become involved. Then I said, I can understand that. If there is something you would like me to do with you while I'm here, please let me know, because I would love to have you involved, even if it's just a little bit. So I would like to reach out to the people that we haven't seen in a while. I was out at Gypsy and Marla's one day, and somebody said to me, I don't feel like I was listened to. And I said, well, tell me what happened, because at the time I was Seneschal. And I literally told them, please come back and give us another chance. We'd love to have you back. The next practice, he brought a ballista out that he had, or a catapult. Was it a catapult? It was a throwing machine out to Gypsies, and it was great. And he had built it, and he said, okay, so what can I do to make this legal? And I honestly told him, I said, I don't know. Let me send you over to Mark Chin. And I gave him Mark Chin's information, because Mark Chin is the one, as far as I know, that does siege weapons. So I hope that he got in touch with Mark, but I have seen that individual at a couple of fighter practices and a couple of events since then, and just checked on him periodically to see how things are going. So, and he has come back. He is being a little more active here and there, and it's great to see that person around again. And he is pre-me Castlemere. So he's somebody I was not aware of initially. And he was introduced to us again out at Gypsies one day, and it was great to see some of the old faces come back.
Yeah, at the risk of almost recycling my answer to a previous question, I think one of the other reasons that people drift away is they kind of get tired of doing the same thing with the same people. And I think if we can revitalize recruitment of new faces, that we'll have something to go to the people that have drifted away and say, hey, we have new things going on. We have new people. We have new faces. Come fight some of them. Come teach your art to some of them. Come see what they have to offer. You know, there's new things happening. There's a reason to come back and be excited about it again. You know, so I think all of that kind of goes hand in hand.
Excellent. Thank you both. Lady Harlow, I believe you've been abandoned by your partner. So you're up.
That's all right.
I had to rescue a kitty.
So for the most part, the people that I have talked to, and the overall response that I have gotten from the people that I have met and talked to that have either left or have been gone for a really long time, that I've met just through other people in the SCA, that I've asked, you know, why did you leave? Why don't you want to come back? Tell me your story. I get a mixture of two answers. So either they ticked all the boxes and they won all of the awards that they wanted to win, and they feel like there's nothing else for them. And when you ask them, what was the only other things that you enjoyed about the SCA, and tell me what else was there that you enjoyed, even though you ticked all your boxes, they give me the exact same answer as the people that got upset and walked away because they felt like they weren't being listened to, or that I get the same overall answer from everybody that I talk to, and that is that there used to be things that happened after the day was over. At the end of the day, there used to be a kind of SCA at night. So there used to be the things around the campfires, and there used to be parties, and there used to be a kind of evening time SCA, and that has completely and totally disappeared. That doesn't exist anymore. And because that is gone, there is just nothing else for them. And they just don't want to be there anymore because it's just no fun for them anymore. And that if that came back, they would come back. That is the overall answer that I've gotten from literally everybody that I've talked to, literally everyone, that if we would bring back anything in the evening, even if it was just people around a campfire just telling stories and bardic and having some drinks together, literally any adult time whatsoever, they would enjoy the SCA again because it's something different, and they would come back. It gives you something spontaneous and different to enjoy with their fellow people. But there were I'm not sure what happened. There were so many things that have happened over the years where that disappeared. And so we've lost, I think, a great many of members who have ticked all the boxes or just didn't feel like they were being heard for whatever reason. That was the only thing keeping them there. And I'm not sure why, but that is why they're not there. And if we don't find a way to bring some of those things back for our people, we're probably not going to get some of those old members back. I hate to say that, but that's kind of what they're looking for. So I think we're going to have to find a way to bring back some of that evening fun for adults.
Listening to what everyone is saying, the common thread is people do not feel appreciated, or someone had a spat with someone and washed their hands and I'm going to take my toys and not play anymore.
Mhm.
The point was also brought up. There does come a point where you cannot mend that bridge. You cannot fix that. Those people you can still attempt to bring back. I would like to go to the other people that, again, for whatever reasons, they may not be able to come to a meeting, or they may not be able to go to events, but they still participate within our band. I want to highlight those people while still reaching out to those people who we haven't seen for a while. As Chatelaine to the former Baron and Baroness, I kept a list of the people who I haven't seen. Maybe it's not the same list of everybody else, but I took note of the people who left. Then I spoke to them and found out why. Some of them, it wasn't that they're not heard, they're not listened to, or they're upset. It's just that they can no longer keep up with what's going on. I would still like to encourage them to use their skills. We have one lady who does scrolls. She's amazing. You will never see her at an event again. You will never see her at a meeting, but she still contributes to our barony. Something I want to push as Baroness is just because they don't show their face or their person, I want them to be recognized kingdom-wide. These people do contribute to our barony. They do offer things. Gypsy was in and out of the focus. Gypsy is one of these people that she's amazing. Oh my God, she does bees. I love bees. They scare the crap out of me, but I love bees. She does heavy weaponry. She does all kinds of things. we could learn so much from these people. And we do have people that I call them ghosts, yet they still pursue the dream. They still support the dream. They are still part of our barony, but they're unseen. Talk to these people, maybe go to them. If they can't come to us, maybe we can go to them. Like Kelly said, what can I do for you now? Because at the end of the day, yes, we're all SCA, but these are our neighbors. These are our chosen family. You have been chosen. God help you by me. Oh Lord. But there are things that we need to take outside the SCA too. Are you okay? COVID left a huge mental and physical scar. We needed human contact and it was taken away from us. SCA people, especially as barony, we like socialization. Sometimes it is like herding cats in July to get this barony together to do anything. We are so many personalities. It's insane, but it's wonderful insanity. But look at who has not been around. I've got the list. I watched as the Shadow Lane, like I said, I watched the people come and go to the people who we know we can get back into. If they can't, work with the people who cannot come back, let them live their dream, let them offer their skills and bring them back. If they want to come back, we can persuade all we want, but unless they're going to want to come back, Harlow said, we need adult time. We need to get things in there that it's spontaneous silliness. We need shenanigans. We thrive on shenanigans, but it also was the tie that binds. So there's a ton of stuff that we could do that we're not doing.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you both. And Lady Annabelle and Samuel.
So I think the key to revitalizing those that have not been participating in our barony lies within our guilds. Revitalizing those, getting new people to join them, because a lot of the people that are no longer coming are those that are involved in the arts. And by getting the cooking guild back together, the scribal guild, all of these other things, it fosters mentorship, which I think is absolutely key to growing our barony. Outside of students and proteges and that system, just taking somebody under their wing, for those who have been in for a long time, that makes them feel good, because it allows them to impart the knowledge and the wisdom that they have gathered in the years that they have been in the SCA. And I think that's going to be key. The other thing is that we need to listen to each other, to respect each other, to include each other. That is essential to becoming a community and becoming a strong barony. Respect, love, and commitment to each other, no matter what. We may have personality disagreements or whatever, but for the good of the barony, for the good of the kingdom, those are the things that we need to do that are going to revitalize people, get people excited. Us having the energy, and being excited ourselves for what's going to happen in the future, and what is happening now is what's going to revitalize people and re-energize people. People have said, calling people. My grandfather was a pastor for years and years, and the way that he built his churches was he called people on the phone. If there were new people, the next day he called them. And I learned a lot from that. Not that the SCA is a church, but in how to reach people. It
is a nonprofit organization of like-minded individuals. And therefore you have to follow some of the same organizational techniques to be successful as an organization. If you're SCA, if you're in the Shriners, Freemasons, whatever, you still have to follow the same techniques to be successful and grow your community. They all use the same type of tactics. I mean,
We do have a
that's just
book.
how it is.
Yes, we have a book.
There you go. And so just to add on to your point, also people who volunteer, a lot of common complaints I've heard is that people volunteer and then don't get an opportunity to serve. And so when somebody has their hand up, let them do something. You know, maybe they're not ready to be a Thiefscrat or an autocrat, but let them participate. Let them be a deputy. Let them learn something, you know, while you're doing those things, so they can go on. And so again, another thing too with this is that we have to grow our community, more young people in, more our members back, but also give the opportunity to do things, to serve. For those of us who enjoy service, that's my main thing is service in the SCA. And I know if I have my hand up and say, hey, I want to make some cool stuff and put on tables. Okay, go ahead, awesome. But if I was told no too many times, I'd also be frustrated with that too. And so, you know, those are some of the ways to help bring people back, as well as, you know, helping people get to events. You know, something we talked about too is golf wars. You know, fortunately, she's gone a couple of times, so I know hopefully know what to expect my first time going. But you know, if we have new members, they're gonna be like, okay, where's the event at? How do I get there? What do I need to bring? I haven't camped before. How do I camp? And so I think we need some, you know, things going on prior to events, especially things like golf wars and the multi-day events. Where it's like, hey, you don't have a tent. Let's bring you up a tent. You don't know where you're supposed to go. Let me help you figure it out. And so that way, new members, people who want to become members, you know, have a way of understanding what's going on. Because, you know, when I was new, it was very confusing. And if I didn't have my wife as a guide, it would have been hard. It would have been hard to just get started. And so, as to your point earlier about, you know, making clothes on a budget, same thing, trying to get to the various events, trying to figure stuff out, especially when they're out, you know, on a dirt road somewhere. Like, how am I even going to get there? I don't have a car. I don't have a car that can go on a dirt road. Let's find rides for people. You know, let's find more ways to keep everybody involved in all the activities, both in the events, and then again, talking about your idea about crafts and drafts. We have similar ideas for that. You know, going to trivia nights together as a group, all those types of things where people can get involved and do things. You know, if they can't come to events, have things going on in town every week. When there's not an event going on, there's something going on every week. Just kind of like church every Wednesday, right? For those of you who've been to church, every Wednesday something was going on. We did the same thing in the barony. Something has to be going on, get people excited and want to be involved every week. Thank you.
Excellent. I would like to personally thank all of the participants and all of our active members in the barony that decided to show up today. I am currently going to be turning off the recording at this time, just letting you know.